In a few months, Omar Khadr will soon turn 29 years of age, having now spent almost half of his life in conditions that have raised international condemnation from human rights organizations, from jurists, from the United Nations, and so on, but not by Canada.
Earlier today, I gave you my quick take on Omar Khadr being granted bail in an Alberta court. I want to give you a little bit more background on Khadr. I want to tell you a few reasons why I think he is so dangerous. I do not believe that he will go and blow up a Jewish school or shoot up a legislature. I don't think he will do that, because I think he realizes he's much more powerful now, and he can be a propaganda tool to attack the West, to attack our security and intelligence and military, and to generally demoralize our side of the game. We've seen that already. The Ottawa Citizen bizarrely gave Omar Khadr an entire op-ed to criticize Canada's anti-terrorism policy. The op-ed was clearly not written by Khadr himself. Khadr is not as legally eloquent as this ghost-written article was, but he was happy to play along. See, that's part of what Omar Khadr has become, a powerful weapon, not of explosives, but of politics and law. Nikolai Sennels, a psychiatrist in Scandinavia, has assessed many jihadists and says there are three indicia that help to decide whether or not, help to predict whether or not a terrorist will reoffend. The first is religiosity. Is the terrorist a fundamentalist? In Omar Khadr's case, he has only become more religious since he murdered Christopher Speer, memorizing the entire Quran, and while at Guantanamo Bay, he actually led the prayers, even though he was the youngest there. The second predictor is, has he shown any regret? And Omar Khadr has not. He has not expressed regret for joining Al-Qaeda. He has now renounced Al-Qaeda. He has not renounced his father's terrorism before him. He has not said that he regrets doing what he did. The closest he came at his sentencing in Guantanamo Bay was to say to Christopher Speer's widow, Tabitha Speer, that he regretted that she became a widow because of his actions. But he did not regret his actions. She was just collateral damage. And of course, the final predictor is, what is your family and peer group like? And in the case of Omar Khadr, his mother and sister call themselves Canada's Al-Qaeda boosters. They actually say this in public. I predict that Omar Khadr will move on to a higher level of terrorism, not through throwing a grenade or strapping a suicide vest to himself, but by going on the talk show circuit, by writing a book, translation, someone else writing it for him in his name, by being a pundit, perhaps by giving speeches at conventions. I predict that Omar Khadr will become a celebrity of the anti-war, anti-Canadian left. I find this deeply disgusting, given that Canada itself has been targeted by Islamic terrorists, not just foiled plots like the Via Rail plot, the Toronto 18 plot, the BC legislature plot, but successful plots too, like the murder of Corporal Nathan Cirillo at the National War Memorial, or also the killing of a Quebec-based soldier by another terrorist using his car. I believe it's deeply offensive that the media and the legal establishment would cheer for a terrorist and turn him into a folk hero at the same time as Canadian troops are overseas in Iraq and Syria trying to destroy terrorism there. Omar Khadr is a convicted, confessed terrorist. He signed his confession with the approval of his lawyers. He is simply gaming the system. He couldn't do it on his own, but with 100 lawyers and journalists on his side, he's doing pretty well, isn't he? For TheRebel.media, I'm Ezra Levant.